And thank you for your countless efforts throughout the year in covering our players, coaches, schools, and our conference. So I was preparing for today, I couldn't help but think back to the early years of being a part of this. And I think the first one of these I went to, we had 8 members in the league. There was tons of golf. The media attendance was about 100. Now we have about 500 of you that attend this event. We have 14 schools, we have 2 divisions, we have a conference championship game and a national playoff. At that point in time, most of your stories were next day events. Now they're immediate. So there's been an incredible amount of change during the time that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of this great league and to attend these kinds of events with you. They're changing times, and one of the things that I'm most proud of in this conference is that our conference and our schools have adjusted well to that changing landscape, which is why I think we are where we are as a conference today. It's an exciting time for the ACC, with a lot to celebrate and a lot to appreciate. Our schools continue to perform at the highest level, both academically and athletically, which is a tribute to the quality leadership at each of our institutions. Throughout our history, our schools have collectively distinguished themselves in many positive ways. I've been fortunate to be a part of this league for over 4 decades. And throughout my tenure, I've realized, quite frankly, how important it is to celebrate success and not take any moments for granted. Because I think we all know and understand how difficult it is to be the best, how difficult it is to win championships, and that life can throw a lot of wrenches into programs and their attempts to be the best on the field or on the court. The competitive aspect of college athletics helps drive the desire to set the bar higher. Our players, coaches, and programs embody a high standard of excellence. And when you look at what's been accomplished in recent years in this league, I think it would be short-sighted not to acknowledge and celebrate the following. The ACC is the only conference to win national championships in football, men's basketball, women's basketball, and baseball over the last 4 years. I think any conference, anywhere, including this one, would take that over every 4-year period. The conference has won 4 combined football and men's basketball titles over the last 5 years. That's twice as many as any other league. During this past academic year, the ACC led all conferences with 10 bowl teams, 9 NCAA men's basketball tournament teams, and 8 NCAA women's basketball tournament teams, including 2 Final Four participants and the national champion in the most dynamic women's Final Four in its history. Over the past 2 years, ACC teams have made 21 bowl appearances, which leads the nation. And our champion has been in the college football playoff every year of its existence. So we're proud of these successes, as well as so many more that I haven't mentioned. And I truly believe the strength of our schools, our student athletes, our coaches, and our fans is at an unprecedented point in our league's history. 2 years ago, at this event, we announced a new multimedia agreement with ESPN that included the launch of the ACC Network. Today, we're approaching the one-year countdown to the linear launch of that network. A lot of work has been done in preparation for next August by our partners at ESPN, by those in our offices in Greensboro, and at our schools. With that said, as we look ahead, there are several important initiatives on our collective to-do list as we lead up to next August. These items over the next year will intensify each month, as will the level of excitement and anticipation of bringing this project to fruition. We're appreciative of the support, the dedication, and the commitment by our partners at ESPN. I've said many times, you cannot have a better partner in this realm than ESPN. The pledge made by John Skipper and his team has been unwavering from the day we signed the deal. And we're extremely pleased by the seamless transition under the new leadership of President Jimmy Patera. I've had the chance to spend time with Jimmy, as I had the chance to spend a great deal of time with John. And it was immediately clear during our first conversation that the ACC Network remains a top business priority for ESPN. And I can tell you and assure you that the relationship between our two entities is stronger than ever. There are a lot of folks behind the scenes working hard to get the network up and running. And while time won't allow me to recognize everyone, I do want to acknowledge a number of leaders that are already making critical contributions to the ultimate launch of the channel. Rosalind Durant continues to oversee all of ESPN's college networks, and Stacy McCollum provides oversight specifically for the ACC Network. They are both located here in Charlotte. Justin Connolly and his affiliate sales distribution team are outstanding and critical to the success of this venture. Chris Brush and his colleagues in the affiliate and consumer marketing divisions, ESPN's production brain trust of Lee Fitting and Amy Rosenfeld, and we're tremendously pleased with both of these individuals and tremendously pleased to have a veteran of Amy's stature as the ACC Network Senior Coordinating Producer. And Meg Aronowitz and Rex Aarons from ESPN's field production team, who have spent the last 2 years working with our schools on their production build-outs. I really want to acknowledge the work done by our schools, their production directors, the decisions that have been made on our campuses for the build-outs that will be necessary for us to have the channel. We're in great shape with that. And the production directors and others have been tremendously dedicated on our campuses. They've done an excellent job in preparing for the ACC linear productions while simultaneously producing over 1,000 games last year for ACC Network Extra, well beyond the 600 which we initially anticipated. Just yesterday, here in Charlotte, we completed a 2-day ACC ESPN production summit that brought together our school production directors and ESPN's production leadership to begin the planning process for 2019. As you can imagine, with over 1,400 events on the schedule between the network and Network Extra, there's a lot of planning and a lot of coordinating required over the next year. There are a few big items that we know are of major interest, and rest assured we are tracking on those. This fall, we will finalize the live event programming schedule for the fall, winter, and spring sports. Throughout the academic year, we'll begin the process of considering our non-live program needs and reviewing different show ideas that will be on the ACC Network. And by next spring, we will have identified the talent for the programs that we create, as well as our lead game announcers for all sports. With Those are the answers I have surrounding the topics of programming and talent. It's not that I don't want to share more with you, but the reality is I've provided all the answers we have at this current time. But rest assured, by next year's football kickoff, there will be no shortage of information surrounding the ACC Network shows and talent, and we will at that time be within weeks of its launch. Bottom line, whether it's production, distribution, scheduling, or anything else related to the network, I'm pleased to be able to tell you that we are right on schedule. There's one additional and significant milestone I can share with you today, which is the unveiling of the final ACC Network brand mark. The ACC Network brand that was displayed when we announced the agreement was created as a placeholder, if you will, until we were ready to unveil the actual brand mark today. Chris McClure, ESPN's Senior Creative Director, in conjunction with several of his colleagues on ESPN's Creative Works team, designed this mark after months of concept testing. There's an art to creating a brand mark that will be associated with so many multimedia platforms. This includes not only linear and digital broadcasts, but also apps for phones, tablets, ESPN's Bottom Line, digital banners, alerts, and on and on. Our partners at ESPN have tremendous vision. We've known that for a long time. And the ACC Network brand mark is no exception. Thanks again to ESPN, Chris, and his team for what we think was an excellent job. All in all, significant strides have been made on all network fronts, and we are extremely pleased with the progress that continues to be made and look forward to the August launch with great anticipation. At the same time, we're approaching the ACC Network launch. As there always is, there's great excitement surrounding the upcoming academic year. There have been a number of changes related to football within the NCAA, and I'm pleased that a number of these changes have come about as a result of the leadership at our schools and our conference. This past December was the first early signing day, something we've championed from the ACC for a number of years. And after visiting with our coaches this spring and as recently as this morning, it's been a positive addition to the recruiting calendar. There's also been significant discussion surrounding the redshirt and transfer rules. We'll need to evaluate both of these over the next year and beyond, but I don't think there's any doubt that the benefit for our players far outweigh any negatives that might come with it. As it relates to the transfer process, we believe the changes are in the best interest of players, and specifically their ability to control who they talk with during the process, and their ability to ultimately transfer where they want and need to go. It also eliminates any restriction on them from receiving athletic aid at a new school. The football redshirt rule, which allows a player to participate in up to 4 games without losing a year of eligibility, is another positive for our players and programs. The opportunity to have limited game experience without penalty, especially when you consider the length of the season and possible attrition during the season, should be an overall benefit to the game, the players, and the coaches. As a former player who sat out a year with an illness and spent that year not playing the game, that's a tough thing to do. And for a player to have the opportunity to play in 3 or 4 games gives the coaches the opportunity to certainly evaluate them better, prepare them better for when they're playing on a more regular basis. And it gives players the opportunity to to hang in there, so to speak, as they get through what would have been a redshirt year of not playing at all. So I think it's a tremendous change for the players. The early signing period, as well as the new redshirt rule, were both initiated by the ACC. We're fortunate to have Blake James, Miami's athletics director, as chair of the Division I Council. His leadership and ability to effectively communicate on behalf of the various constituents continues to be appreciated. And currently, I think it's worth noting that the ACC has more individuals on more committees in the NCAA than any other conference. So we're extraordinarily represented across the board and in some very key leadership positions. The health and safety initiatives surrounding our student athletes remains a significant focus for our schools, our conference, and of course nationally. This is a rule change year in football, and later today, Dennis Hennigan, who is doing such an outstanding job with our officiating in the ACC, will outline a number of modifications that will be implemented this season. I hope you will attend that session. This will include the much talked about kickoff rule, which after spending time with our coaches, I know there's a desire to see even more future changes to help protect players, which is going to be increasingly important for the importance of the game and the continuation of the game of football as we know it as we move forward. Speaking of coaches, as you know, we welcomed Florida State's Willie Taggart to the league this past December. He has already been a great addition around our table and is joining a group of coaches that has separated itself with the national landscape. We have 7 of the nation's top 25 active coaches in career victories. That's more coaches in that top 25 than any other conference. It's a good time to talk with coaches. They're all here, they're all undefeated, and they're all here with the ultimate goal of returning to Charlotte on the first weekend in December for the 14th annual Dr. Pepper ACC Football Championship game. It's nice to say 14th, because we've come a long way with this game, and we found a home, obviously. This past April, we announced an agreement with the Charlotte Sports Foundation and the Carolina Panthers to keep one of our marquee events here in Charlotte through 2030. It's also good to see that David Tepper, the new owner of the Panthers, is a Pitt graduate, and therefore we have declared him an ACC guy. Speaking of marquee events, I'd be remiss in not mentioning while we're here in Charlotte what a significant role this city will play beyond our annual kickoff and football championship game. We'll be back here in October for both our men's and women's basketball media days, and in March we'll celebrate the 66th annual New York Life ACC men's basketball tournament at the Spectrum Center just a few blocks from here. The first weekend of the football season is 6 weeks away. There's no shortage of quality games available to our fans throughout the year. One of the most pleasing things to me as I compare now to a number of past years when we were a smaller league is the number of quality football games we now have in this league. And when you look at the last several years, the teams that we've had in the national championship playoffs, the national championship game, most of their toughest games, and in some cases their only loss, have been within the conference. And I think that says something about where we are with ACC football.